Ryan Garcia still looking very big, and I'm not saying he's out of shape because his face looks normal. Honestly, I think he might be having a hard time making weight, honestly, because Ryan's been through a lot. Imagine being inactive for a year and not being able to, compete takes a lot out of you. Maybe you get stressed out, but just judging from Ryan Garcia's appearance, his physique, he looks in way better shape than the Devin Haney fight. Physically, mentally looks a lot more calm and focused and healthy for this fight ultimately, but he still looks like a huge fighter physically, and a lot of people are talking about how he doesn't look as cut up still, and I think, ultimately he's still a huge guy. I was at the Grand Arrivals earlier and I saw Ryan, and he doesn't look that much smaller than when I saw him against Devin Haney. And I understand that, fighting at 147, he doesn't need to be, but it would be interesting to see if he misses weight again against Rolly Romero. That would be crazy, because Rolly, ultimately, he's been fighting guys that are smaller than him, so he's been having to be a little bit more drained, but here he's going to be facing a guy in Ryan Garcia that is dangerous, he's talented, and he's as big as Rolly Romero is. So for Rolly, he definitely has his hands full, because ultimately, I always say, for a guy fighting Ryan Garcia, Rolly's going to have to be expecting, whatever Ryan Garcia throws at him, both inside the ring, outside the ring, because he's going to play that mental game where you're not going to know what you're going to get against Ryan Garcia when it comes to the press conferences, when it comes to the face-offs and the actual fight. You don't know what you're going to get with Ryan Garcia, because he's a wild boy, and ultimately, he's going to try to trick you mentally and then, clock you on fight night. So Rolly Romero's got to come in there prepared, but both guys looking very strong. 147, I honestly don't know if either guy really belongs at 147, because 147 is a not so hot, division right now. You could argue Boots Ennis is the best at 147, and even he struggles to make the weight. But I feel like it's time for those, the best fighters in the world to move up to 47, because it's interesting. You got like Devin, Jose Ramirez, that fight's going, at a contracted weight of 144, which is like not even a weight class, it's a catch weight. So that just tells me Devin's kind of having a difficult time deciphering what weight class he's going to stick at, because I saw Devin, ultimately lose a lot of weight throughout this preparation for this Jose Ramirez fight, and then, approaching the fight, is he going to be underweight? Is he going to be overweight? He looks skinnier, ultimately. When I saw him at the Grand Arrivals that just happened, he looks skinnier ultimately, and that's could be a good thing, but ultimately you kind of think about how almost fragile he looked against Ryan Garcia, and maybe that's all credit to Ryan Garcia's left hook, but ultimately it's also about Devin Haney's physical health. Is he really a 144 pounder? Is he really a 140 pounder, or does he even belong in any of those weight classes? Does Devin Haney belong at 147? These guys have experienced and fluctuated with their weight so much that they can't really pick a weight class. You talk about Devin Haney and you talk about Ryan Garcia, these guys are kind of just moving wherever they want, because it's kind of difficult for them to make weight no matter what it is. And I think the science of it has changed, and in terms of what they're noticing about their own bodies is that it's getting difficult to make weight. So hopefully Ryan Garcia doesn't miss weight, because that'd be a really unprofessional moment for him, because he's already done it in his most recent fight, the fight that got him suspended. So hopefully he's locked in, he's focused physically and mentally. He looks strong, but the first fight, like they always say, is on the scale. So hopefully Ryan Garcia passes that test and he can focus on doing what he does best, performing on fight night, because he knows how to give the fans a great show, because they are the main event ultimately. Rolly and Ryan are the main event, but you got a stacked card with Barboza and Teofimo, and then you got Devin and Ramirez, where Devin's fight is probably the most consequential fight, because everybody wants to know where he's at after taking a beating against Ryan Garcia, because that sets up the mega rematch with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. But I feel like if both guys perform, then that rematch is the biggest fight. But if one of them slips and fumbles, then we got an issue, because that rematch will be tainted if they don't perform on May 2nd. But Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia is definitely what's on most people's radars, even though that's not the fight going down on May 2nd. But we got tremendous fights on that card, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next Snaps Boxing video. Peace.